Today we are going to be talking about streamlining investor management, essential apps and tools for success in apartment syndication. But first, I want to mention a little bit about me. So like I said, my name is Melissa Broom, the Director of Marketing for PassiveInvesting.com. My background is in obviously marketing and graphic design. I've been in this industry for, I've been in the real estate industry. So I come from a commercial real estate firm, brokerage firm. I kind of had started my real estate marketing career there. I've been with PassiveInvesting.com now for going on almost 4 years. So I've been with Dan and Danny since the beginning of the company. And we've really created this marketing department underneath PassiveInvesting.com that supports all of our brands. So we've got obviously our main PassiveInvesting.com. We've got Rehab Wallet, which is our the private lending group. We've got HRA Management, which runs our express car wash operations. We've got lots of brands and lots of things happening at once. So really excited to be here and kind of share with you some of the things that we're doing. So I do want to mention before I jump into this, I'm going to talk about the apps and tools to use for investor management. I will say that there are apps and tools that our finance team uses, that our acquisitions team uses, asset management. I'm not going to touch on those today. Those team members, those directors can do future webinars if that's something you guys are interested in learning about as well. I think Eric actually on our acquisitions team or Chris have done one for acquisitions, but this is going to be specifically for investor management and those specific apps and tools. All right, so let's get started. So what apps do you need when getting started in apartment syndication? So like I said, I've been with Dan. Dan really runs the investor relations and marketing side of the company. So I've been working under him kind of since the beginning. And there's a couple of things that are really crucial when you want to get into this space and you want to get started. The first one being a CRM. So what you'll start doing is you'll start attracting leads, whether it be through email campaigns or social media or just in-person networking. So you really want to have a CRM for collecting those leads. So that can be Active Campaign, that can be HubSpot. There's a ton of CRMs out there. I'll get into what we use and what we've used in just a little bit, but you want to make sure that you have a good CRM. That way you can, for one, keep up with those people and, document their name and their information. And if someone hands you a business card at a networking event, you've got somewhere to park that information. And then also turning around and being able to communicate with them. So it's really important, as well as maintaining that relationship. So CRM is the first thing. Social media, you'll want to establish a brand, which I've done some videos on branding for apartment syndication. So I'm not going to get into branding today, but if you're interested, check out our YouTube channel, which Talia can drop that in the chat box for us, our YouTube channel, so you can see some of those previous videos. But so once you've established a brand, you want to create a social media presence, whether that be LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, whatever you're into. You want to make sure that YouTube, you want to make sure that you've got some sort of social media presence, because this industry is really based off of relationships and getting to know, the person behind the brand is really important, I think, in this business. So which again, I touch on more of that in our branding video. But so you want to have social media. With that, you want to have a website and a domain name. So you're going to want an account with like GoDaddy or a similar provider that can create that, where you can create that domain name. You want Outlook so one tip that I want to share is as you get started, it's important to have an email address that isn't at gmail.com. So it's okay to keep your Gmail or your Yahoo account, but you want to have at PassiveInvesting.com for your email. It kind of gives to me, it makes me want to trust somebody a little more, or makes me take them more serious if they've taken the time to create that domain name where their email address matches their company. So that's important as well. In addition, getting started, I would recommend having some sort of freelance website that you can use. Like I like Upwork personally. That's one. I've also used 99 Designs. But a freelance site, because you're going to come across things that you want to do but may not know how to do. We use it for video editing. It's not that I don't know how to edit videos and get into Adobe Premiere, but it's extremely time consuming for somebody like me who's doing a million other things. So having a freelancer on a system like Upwork is super valuable, especially starting out, because you can find graphic designers, you can find virtual assistants, you can find video editors, web editors, anything you need. Those sites have a ton of people who are there willing to help and ready to help. So in addition, when you start out, you want to have something like Airtable to manage your investors, as well as an investor portal. So those are, I don't necessarily work in Airtable much personally, but our investor services team does. And then an investor portal. So a lot of what I just mentioned, like a CRM, even social media, a lot of today's investor portals are trying to have all of that inside the investor portal, which I think is great, especially just starting out, being able to use one system for everything. We have a separate CRM, like where we do our email campaigns currently because of the size where we're at today. But I do think those investor portals offer some really great features for the same things that a CRM is going to offer. So make sure you've got something there for your investors. All right, so what apps and tools does the passiveinvesting.com marketing team use? So I'm going to sort of mention a couple of key ones. That way, you know kind of what we're using. So Adobe Creative Suite, that's a really big one. That's one I use almost daily. If you're not well versed in Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, that's okay. But finding someone on Upwork, for example, who is, you want to make sure that your materials are created professionally and in design software. It really takes them to the next level. Not that beautiful things don't come out of PowerPoint and Word, but it takes it to the next level. On top of, and so you still need Microsoft Suite. So we use Microsoft Suite, but Adobe Creative Suite, whether you're using it or someone on your team is using it, you want to make sure that your materials look professional. In addition, we are using, we use HubSpot now as our CRM. We did use ActiveCampaign when we had a little bit smaller of a list. I guess in the beginning of the company, we had ActiveCampaign. I think that they're both great, ActiveCampaign and HubSpot. I think ActiveCampaign is a bit easier to use, but HubSpot's going to have more features. So it's really just personal preference. There is no, as you scale, I think HubSpot is great. As far as social media goes, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, I use Facebook Ads Manager. We run social media ads. So I did used to use a company called Ad Espresso, where basically it walks you through posting paid ads on social media. So that's a great one as well. We use Vimeo we take our videos and we embed them on our website. So I use Vimeo for that. YouTube has ads unless you have I think you have to have a paid account, but Vimeo has less ads. We like Vimeo better basically for embedding a video. In addition, I use Shutterstock for stock photos. We use, I have let's see, Issuu, ISSUU. And by the way, none of this is like sponsored, or I'm not getting anything by sharing these. This is just what we use. We use Issuu, which is called ISSUU.com. And that's how we share all of our documents, all of our investor offering memorandums, or one pagers or documents with our investors. So basically what this system does is it creates sort of like a booklet type feel on the computer, where it like turns the page, and it's not as clunky as a PDF, although we do have those in PDF versions. Typically, if you follow us, you see our documents in this service called Issuu. What also that does is if I catch a typo later on, or if we need to make a change to the document, I can change it in real time and the link updates, and I don't have to resend that document back out to our investors. So it's been great. We've been using it since the beginning, and I highly recommend either using that one or something like it to share documents. So we used another one, we use Typeform. So it's similar to Google Forms, but it's a little more customizable, and I think it's easier to use. Sorry, I'm just gonna grab some water here, but so Typeform has been great. We also embed the Typeform on our website. But this is how we collect soft commitments. We use this for like forms at events. When we go to events, we have our tablet, and there's a Typeform where someone can fill out their information to learn more. So that's been great. For our investor portal right now, we're using RealPage IMS. So like I said, I don't do much in IMS because that falls under our investor services department, but that is the one that we're using. Let's see what else. Also, I should mention, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat box or the Q&A box. Any questions about any of the apps or websites that I'm mentioning, happy to dive in deeper with those. So what apps someone's asking if I'm sharing slides? No, I'm talking. We'll send out this replay if I've gone too fast, or like I said, if you want me to cover something in more depth, just let me know in the chat box. But no, I don't have any slides today. Let's talk about efficiency. So there's a lot of things out there that are created for efficiency. So I want to mention the first one is, if you're using social media, you want to use some sort of posting or scheduling app, especially starting out. So we use one called CoSchedule, and we don't use it as much now. But in the beginning, when it was just me, I would schedule posts. It helps manage it. It basically runs like a social media calendar, and you can just go and say, hey, I want this, this, and this to happen this month. And you add all of your accounts in it. And it really is great. There's multiple, I think the one's called Hootsuite, and CoSchedule. And I think HubSpot also has a social media integration that does sort of a similar thing. Another one that I really like is Zapier. So if you've never zapped anything before, it's basically what Zapier does is it takes two different apps or two different websites, and it lets them communicate. So it's really easy to use once you get in there and start playing around. So if I want, this form, for example, on our webinar page that you filled out, obviously, to get here, there's actually a Zap involved in that process. So your information is then zapped over to Zoom. There are other ways to do those integrations, but I find Zapier to be the most reliable. So I've also even set up Zaps as backup. So we've got like multiple, so we don't miss anything as well. Efficiency. So you want to be using a program called LastPass. That's really just in business and life in general. LastPass is going to save all your passwords. It really saves a lot of time not having to reset your password. And it's secure. Asana or Monday.com. So these are project management softwares. So we like I like both of them, Asana and Monday.com. Asana's better, I think, overall. Monday.com we used for our event planning. But I mean, you want to make sure that you have some sort of project management software, especially as you scale and as you grow and you've got team members. It's a great way to communicate and keep up with what's happening. And then AI, so ChatGPT. So I wanted to mention this under the efficiency because let's rewind 2 years ago, for example. Let me back up. So we send a monthly newsletter out to our investors, and each month, each managing partner and a few directors send me an article, right? So sometimes I like to take the title of the article and maybe I don't like it, or maybe I've got two that sort of sound similar. So I need to update one title of an article. 2 years ago, I would have been like, looking on thesaurus.com and trying to switch some words around and trying to figure out and come up with another name. But what's cool today with ChatGPT or AI, I can say, hey, I need a new article title for this. And I put the old article title and it'll spit out 10 article titles. So I think AI and ChatGPT, that's what that one does. But I think ChatGPT is great for things like that. I wanted to tell a quick story of an article I read recently. It was like last week. I don't know if you're familiar with like influencers. So they're people who are, they're basically paid to be active on social media. I read an article where these influencers now don't even have to actually go to the restaurants and go to the events. They can put their photos into AI and put the names of the restaurants and put the names of the brands they want to wear. And AI basically spits out hundreds of photos of them being active and doing things and having a life. So I think that I say that because I don't think AI is going to work in this industry for those types of things. Like if you say you're going to be at MFINCon, you need to actually go to MFINCon, right? If you don't want to post about being there and not actually be there. I think this business is big on relationships and knowing the person behind the brand and the computer and the investment. So I don't think our industry will use AI like influencers are per se, but it is great for content and trying to take things to the next level and getting, even if you don't like any of the titles it spits back out to you, it might trigger something of your own to come up with a new idea on your own. So, and I just put this last bullet here. Don't be afraid of new technology, apps, tools, social media resources. I know when AI kind of hit the news, everyone was like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is crazy, robots, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's good to know what's happening in our industry and in business and in general. And don't be afraid to try TikTok or to try AI or to try the new things that are coming out. It's never good to stay stagnant. So always be looking for the next. But yeah, someone said Melissa's not really here right now. No, I'm not generated by AI, I promise. But it is crazy what it can do and what it's capable of, but don't let it replace you. Because you might get by, but I don't think long-term that's actually a good solution. But that's my opinion on AI. So, and how I think it goes with our industry. So that's all I have for today. I wanted to open it up for questions on if you want to go to the chat or the Q&A box. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have. So can you send a list of sites? Yeah, I can. And when I send the replay email, we can include a Word document or a PDF with the list of sites that we're using or apps that we're using. Can I provide the links? I think most of what I've mentioned is very Upwork is upwork.com, LinkedIn.com. So a lot of them are just, if there is one that's kind of might be hard to get to, I'll include that as a link. But most of them, Vimeo, it's vimeo.com. They're all pretty well-known and common via Google or just putting .com on the end. All right, do we have any other questions? Happy to answer anything about, happy to answer any questions that you guys may have about any of these that I discussed. Any KPIs you can share in managing outreach? So no, we don't, I wouldn't say any KPIs you can share in managing. So I would visit one of my, I think I did a video on this. It might be in the branding YouTube channel, YouTube video. I think as far as like KPIs go, that falls more on our investor relations team as far as our investors themselves. So that'd be actually a great topic for one of our investor relations team members to do. But we basically, I mean, we track everything. We've got all the data. So if we ever do need to, go in, dive in, see what's working, see what's not working, we have all that data. And we do sit down occasionally and analyze that. But I wouldn't have anything necessarily to share, per se. Anything else that anyone can think of? Happy to answer any additional questions. We have a few more minutes here. If not, yeah, Robert's asking, did Dan seek you out? How did that go down? I'm in the process of hiring a person similar to what you do. Yeah, so Dan actually posted a director of marketing position. I had applied and I applied and then followed up with him on LinkedIn and reached out and tried to get in touch with him. So we kind of formed our relationship from there. I went through the interview process and was hired. I would say my best advice for hiring someone for my position, I recommend somebody who's not necessarily in the apartment syndication industry per se, but maybe somebody who's worked in commercial real estate or even residential real estate marketing or investment for another investment firm. Depending on the budget you have for the role, don't be afraid to not poach people, but go and find somebody who's already working in the industry and see if they're interested in a new position. I think that, and if they aren't, they may know somebody who is. So networking is really important to find somebody. I would say definitely find somebody with a little bit of experience. I think that's important. If you're hiring for a director of marketing, you want to make sure that they can manage the role and they've got some experience. Any recommendations of who to use on Upwork? Yeah, so I don't want to give away I mean, it's not that I wouldn't want to give away the people. Maybe if you'll send me an email directly, and you and I can go back and forth a little bit on who exactly you're looking for and what you need. I would just say when looking for people on Upwork, it does take a little bit of time to vet people, but it's okay to use somebody and then not like them and move on to the next person. We've done that. You sometimes get lucky and sometimes you don't. You can pretty much tell by their profiles, and don't hesitate to interview them, jump on a Zoom call with them, talk to them in person. Look at it as like an interview, like you would be hiring somebody. Select 3 of your final candidates, do Zoom interviews, talk to them, get to know them, be candid with them, say, hey, I'm interviewing 3 people for this role. Use an interview style to select people on Upwork the same way you would if you were hiring for a W-2 position. All right, I don't see any other questions. Melissa, are you writing the newsletter? So I do not write the newsletter. The newsletter so each article is written by the person who says it's written by. So if it says Dan Handford wrote the article, Dan wrote the article. Rob, Whitney, I'm taking it and I'm designing it. Basically, I take their articles, I put it into what the format is, and I get it print ready and get it sent to the printer. We do use a copy editor to help with some of the editing for those articles. But no, I'm doing more of the graphic design side of the newsletter, not the writing. Not much of a writer myself, but I could if I had to, but I'd much rather make something look pretty than write about it. Any other questions before we sign off for today? Let's see if next week's webinar is up. Okay, yeah, so next week we've got Taylor joining us. So we're working on his topic, so we'll get that up probably by the end of the day today. And like I said, if you're interested in our upcoming private lending intensive, we'd love to have you join us September 18th and 19th in Columbia, South Carolina. Get to hang out with Kelly Garrett, Angela Dunn, and the Rehab Wallet team. and learn from them and learn how to really be whether you're starting out in the private lending business or maybe you've already dabbled in it a little bit. This would be a great place to really take it to the next level. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we're going to sign off for today. Be sure to register for next week's webinar, and we will see you soon.